I'm sorry for the interruption.
You're a special guest, or?
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is awesome. This is gonna be great.
I thought the school was closed, yeah?
I thought it was closed too. Maybe they have practice on days off.
I think they're in finals or something.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be it.
That's good. That's good.
What's good? How you doing? How you doing, man?
Oh, you know him?
Long time. Yeah, I've seen this man around. What's up?
Yeah. Jhonson knows hella people.
Roots run deep.
22.
What up, it's your boy 17.
Yo, what's up? I'm Teeflii.
What's good? I'm Entropy. Yo, what up? I'm Yo J, and together we're whatever.
Yo, it's Young Pop Bonito.
When you're listening to Hip Hop Certified. Hip Hop Certified.
Hip Hop Certified.
Hip Hop Certified.
You're watching Hip Hop Certified.
What is good, HipHoppas? It is Esteban Sound here with some very special guests with me today. We got the incomparable Nasty G.
Nasty G.
How you doing? A shout out to Bishop Bird School for holding us down.
Yeah.
The rugby squad out here for practicing, fooling around.
Out here in the field.
And then we got the... I can't say incomparable either. What's another word for incomparable?
I don't know, man.
How would you describe yourself, dog?
I'm alright. Nice.
The dope Jhonson Garçon.
What's up, man? Good to be back. Good to be back.
Word. And today we're doing a conversation. We call it reviews, but yeah, it's more of a conversation on Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap. Now, I guess we'll get straight into it. Really, when I heard the news about Nipsey Hussle passing away, I want to say it was about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like three.
Like
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago.
It's still recent.
It feels like it just happened like last week.
Yeah.
For me, at least. And dog, like I remember hearing the news, and just like I didn't believe it. I saw it on Tidal. I didn't even go on Instagram or anything like that. I just saw it on Tidal. That's where I stream my music. And I see Rest in Power Nipsey Hussle.
Crazy.
And I was like, what? This can't be real.
Yeah.
So I check on the internet.
It was just everywhere at that point. It was like, yeah.
And I see, he's been shot. I'm like, what the
In front of his own store, man.
Man, it's crazy.
fucked up. So, but one thing that someone was telling me the other day, we were over at Zoe's house.
Yeah.
For it was like a 420 party, and shouts out to Akeem, and he told me something like, when people say rest in peace, don't say rest in peace, say rise in power.
Rise in power.
Because he's rising in power.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Rising in power. I think Nipsey Hussle's message is just going to be amplified up to this point with his passing, and what he was trying to lay down and make happen, I think is only going to be, it's only going to reach more people at this point. It's unfortunate that it has to be that way.
It's unfortunate that it had to happen like that, but I mean, he's more popular now than he's ever been, but it's sad it had to be like that, you know?
Yeah.
And we were having...
He was, like, if you really think about it, like, Nipsey Hussle was just, like, starting to catch, like, his stride in his prime, you know? So, like, who knows what kind of music he would have put out in the future, right? So,
Yeah, I was anticipating that album because right before he passed, like probably
Yeah.
a month before he passed, he put out that single,
Yeah.
Racks in the Middle.
Oh, right.
And like that single for me, it got me really excited to see what else he was gonna put out, because it wasn't until Victory Lap that I actually really started taking his music seriously and like following what he was about. Like I was a fan of like Hit Boy and Dom Kennedy way before I started listening to Nipsey Hussle, and I knew that they fucked with him in the music industry, but I never really paid him that much mind. So when Victory Lap came out, I really started paying more attention to him, and I got excited for them. And he actually really stood out in his music, rather than just being like a common dude from LA and talking about, you know, Cali Sun Life and you know, just trying to get his money up. But he did that too, but he did it in more of a leadership role. Like
he had his own style when he was about in Victory Lap. I feel more like he was before that he was like in a lot of features. Like he was pretty good in a lot of features though. Like he did his thing on a lot of features before that.
Yeah, man.
Word. So I mean, obviously I'd say rise in power to Nipsey Hussle. It's unfortunate how that happened, but just getting into this album, what were you guys hearing before you heard this album? What was your introduction to Nipsey Hussle? What were you guys hearing before Victory Lap came out?
I think like the first thing I ever heard from Nipsey was like the Marathon, like back, and he has a couple singles on that track that like I really fuck with. Like there's like really good riding music. If you're ever just in your car, Mr. Untouchable.
Oh yeah.
That's a good song. Like so, I mean, he's always been like quality. You know, he's always been quality music, but like. In my mind, Nipsey wasn't in like the stratosphere like a Kendrick or like a J. Cole, like somebody like that's like a giant in the game, right? But he was always quality stuff, yeah. Yeah, I like it.
So coming into Victory Lap, the first ever Nipsey Hussle track I listened to was Hustle in the House.
Oh, that's classic.
And I was I think I was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And me and my friend were just riding around looking for a job. And we were just handing out resumes and stuff. And my one friend David, he was like, "Yo, have you heard of this guy?" I'm like, "Who is he?" He's like, "This is Nipsey Hussle." I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "Yeah, man, he's really big on the blogs right now." So I went home and I looked him up. I downloaded the song and then I kind of just left it at that.
Yeah.
Because in that time, like, you know, just being a kid going through puberty, I listened to old rap music, more the emotional side. I wasn't really trying to. What's up? I wasn't really trying to get with that gangster shit.
Yeah.
Really, I was just more so focused on like the lyrical depth of hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Nipsey had that, but it was more so just real rugged and
Yeah,
in your face.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And then like, you know, years after that, I found out he married my all-time crush, Lauren London. So like, I had those feelings in my heart, like, yo, I'm not gonna listen to this guy because he's with my woman. My lifetime crush. Always loved that ATL movie, Lauren London. First time I saw her, and then I just like caught feelings, man. I didn't want to listen to him. I was just like, I'm not listening to my wifey's, man. You know, whatever. Like, call me when you get sick of him.
Yeah.
Right, and then like a couple of years later, like I was still on my petty shit, and I had a girlfriend at the time, so I couldn't really be too petty. And then I was just driving around listening to Shade 4-5, and they were playing the recap on when he went to Sway in the Morning to market his album.
Right.
And I was listening to what this dude was saying.
Which album?
Victory Lap.
Okay.
When he went to Sway in the Morning and talked, and they just broke down, I think like a series of tracks. And he was just talking about his process and how he was doing things and how he wanted to be a leader through his music. And I just listened to that, and then all of a sudden I was like, man, I can't be mad at this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be mad at this guy. And then as soon as I heard him talk, I was on to it, and then
he's an intelligent dude. Like, he's great on interviews.
He is, man. He's talking about leaving his label to become somebody, like to become his own boss.
Yeah,
that's something that a lot of people want in their life.
Yeah.
And he faced all odds and just went and got for it. And then as soon as he was done talking, they played Real Big from Victory Lap.
Yeah.
And like, that was the first song I heard from Victory Lap, and that was the first song that touched my soul, man. I was like, these lyrics, like, they just get me. You know what I mean? Like, high school, I didn't go. Like I was always skipping high school. Like, as simple as that, right?
Facts,
like, you know, fucking young bitches while the folks home. I remember doing that shit too. It seemed like he was so relatable to me in that moment, and I'll just never forget where I was. I was in my sister's car, just driving around, going to go pick up some food and out. It's one of those moments where you don't expect to be inspired, but it just catches you by surprise. And yeah, I never expected to be inspired by Nipsey Hussle in that moment, and he did. So, and ever since that moment, I've been on the Victory Lap like crazy. Right. Marathon continues.
Absolutely. Yeah, dog. I you know what? It's something that you said about his interviews.
Yeah.
I think I started watching Nipsey's interviews before I started watching or listening to his music. Like, and like I heard Nipsey through features through YG, and I heard Nipsey through like songs here and there. But I think it was his interviews that I was like, okay, this dude, he's really intelligent.
Yeah.
This is beyond just like your regular artist who's just talking about, yo, you know, my album's coming out and whoop, whoop, whoop.
Certain people, when you listen to their interviews, they're like, okay, like, this person's like, their mind works. So like I was saying that, like, when you listen to somebody's interview, you can really tell kind of how their brain works, you know what I mean? Like the complexity of how they think, how they figure stuff out, how they answer questions, right? Like Nipsey's really good at like really telling you how he's thinking right there, you know? So
right, and he was really on some ownership, like pushing ownership, and that was huge. because that's like something that I was always really big into. Was just like, yo, let's own our music. Let's see how we get paid off our music. Let's not get fucked by these labels. And he just turned me on to that whole side of music as well. It wasn't just about putting out songs. It was about, yo, let's control our destiny. Let's make this happen, right?
Absolutely.
And that was totally inspiring, like you said. So I was like, man, this is some shit that I got to get onto. And then this was around the time when I was still hustling too. So his music was kind of relatable to what I was doing around the time. And I remember just playing his song. I was going and picking up one of my homies because we were doing whatever, right? And he was like in the back of the car, like, yo, this is Nip. Like, yo, you listen to Nip? I'm like, yeah, I listen to Nip. Yeah. And he's like, oh, word. So it's like different hustlers around me were also like, we could relate to that shit. It's like, oh, you listen to Nip too? Word.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then getting into Victory Lap, I remember listening to this in the basement. I was like, okay, because he was promoting this for a while before it came out. He put the album artwork out for a while. He dropped a couple singles, and I was listening to the singles, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good, but I'm interested in what's gonna happen in the album. And then I see the album comes out, and I listened to it once full through, and I was like, okay, this is on a different level. This is Nipsey Hussle on like some real musical shit. Yeah. This isn't just mixtape Nipsey. This isn't just, yo, I'm gonna put out a bunch of tracks and, you know what I mean, feed the streets. It wasn't that. It was like, yo, this is an album that he curated and made from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So listening into the album, what did you think about it?
First time listening to it, I really like the street bangers, like track 3 onwards, like track 3 and 4. The last time that I checked, to me that was a done deal.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I just finished listening to that in the car. Yeah,
last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck.
Him and YG have good chemistry.
Great chemistry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, they go hard back and forth.
Absolutely. And
I like that.
You know what's wild? Because like when Nip would put that out, he would go and I'd see him in interviews with 5 chains on his neck. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this guy really would manifest what the fuck he would talk about. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I heard guys from Den and Hip Hop, shout out to Den and Hip Hop, and they were talking about, on one of the lyrics, he talks about parking in a handicap spot. Yeah. And he actually did that. You know what I mean? It's just like, this guy actually does that.
It's a fucking G.
Yeah, man. The one thing I really like about Last Time That I Checked, though, is that throughout the whole song, he makes it sound so easy. Yeah. You know what I mean? He has that bravado to be like, yeah, I did this. Like, last time that I checked, I was the real one in the equation. Yeah. Right? And everybody wants to be that guy. But for him, he just puts on, like, he just shows the post-production, or, like, the post product of what he is. He's not really highlighting too much about how he got there. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But at the same time, he doesn't need to. Like, it's just there in the lyrics. He doesn't have to back it up. You just know that he is running shit. Yeah, right. Like, there's a reason why they call him Neighborhood Nip.
Neighborhood Nip. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get into the tracks. We'll go one by one, kind of just like quick thoughts on the tracks. Number 1, Victory Lap, the opener. What did you think about it?
Victory Lap, the opener. It's one of those albums. It's one of the tracks I usually tend to skip. I didn't really get too into that track. You know what I mean? For me, it wasn't really hitting that hard. Like, usually when I'm listening to the album, I'm doing other stuff. But I really like the balance, like the melodic tones that he had on his feature with it too, right? It's like Locked Up Beginning to Be a Street Sweeper. That one was like, it's like almost like he wasn't meant to be a rapper, right? Yeah. Or he was just meant to be a thug, right? And you just see that throughout the whole album, right? To be honest, it doesn't really pop out for me. Because a lot of the things he's saying
in comparison to the other
exactly. It's a lot more of like a softer opener.
Yeah, and it's like the message that he has in that song is always reiterated, right? So the whole vibe of the album, you're thinking about Victory Lap, right? So like that's what makes it a decent opener too. But at the same time, I'm always just like ready to get to my favorite song. So.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah, Victory Lap.
I thought it was a good opener. It wasn't like that doesn't blow your mind right away, but it gets your it gets you warmed up. You know what I mean? Yeah. It gets you nice and warm for like the the meat of the album, I feel.
Right, I agree. It's kind of like a soft or opener, but he definitely sets the tone for it. But I think fucking the next song, Rap, I can't say it, but Rap, and I think this is when Nipsey's on his ownership shit, but he's on some ignorant. It's like ignorant.
I think
intelligence.
he just puts like everybody in their place with that song.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just be like, you know,
I
like,
ain't nothing like you fucking rap. Like it's real.
He just shows everybody like okay, like this is you guys, this is me. Like you know, I don't gotta be like that.
In my opinion, it sounds better clean. Like
you think so?
Yeah, because like
I'm not a fan of clean songs, man.
You should try and listen to this album clean. I have the album clean on my phone. I always listen to it clean. I don't know why.
Really?
It was honestly a mistake when I went to like load it into my library, but every time I listen to it, I'm like, wow, this album sounds really good. Like when it's clean, you know.
Because it's kind of repetitive the way he ends every line with that.
Yeah. To me, it drives the point home more. Like you actually you kind of see through what he's like the tough guy exterior that he has to portray. Yeah. Right, and then you actually get into his lyrics, and you're paying more attention to what he's actually saying. Yeah. And rather than him trying to make it like catchy and street relatable. Right. So.
Yeah, well, I think he does both on this track. Yeah. Like I think
he does both too.
I think he does both, and the reason I say that is because, like the flow is kind of simple.
Yeah.
But what he's talking about, the meat of it, is very much like talking about like security or like trust funds and you know, whoever pays my taxes out and whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like he's really on some like financial intelligence. Like I'm getting my taxes paid. I got a trust fund. You know, I own the masters to my music.
Yeah.
And that's where, but the sound of the track is so like ignorant and loud. It's like, I'm fucking.
Who can mix that style so well? Like, who can be ignorant and lyrical at the same time? Like,
I'd say like Nip and Jay-Z, or like the two that can do that.
Jay-Z, yeah.
Absolutely.
So what about like last time that I checked?
Banger.
Yeah, straight up. That's
a banger.
Just get lost in that song. I love because the way Nipsey Hussle produced the whole album is that he had like his whole crew set up in the studio with him. Right, so like he had everybody, like all of his consultants, his producers, his A&Rs, they're all already there with him, and like you can hear it because it's so consistent. And last time that I checked, was just the best follow-up for rap. Like rap niggas, like just that was just the reiteration.
Absolutely.
How he's like, okay, I'm nothing like you guys, because last time that I checked, I didn't have to move around. I stayed in my city, and I shut shit down. Usually, he's fortunate enough to live in LA. Absolutely, and then like a lot of people get caught up in some LA lifestyles, but he just rose from the concrete. He
stays on his purpose.
And he's the one who's still doing it locally. He's still doing it just 100% and true to the people that brought him up.
Man, that's gotta be cool to have somebody in your community like homegrown like that like you look up to. You be like, that dude went to the same high school as me, you know, like.
Right. Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This is a great song, great follow up.
Word, facts. Yeah, it's like the stamp to the next track, like banger after banger. I agree. And then Young, this is my favorite track with Puff Daddy, and the reason I love this track is just because he samples Biggie's N-word, and he samples it, but he also gets Puff Daddy on the track, so it's like an homage to it, right? And I'm like, word, that's so dope. A lot of people maybe didn't catch that, and I was like, okay, this is like a cool little homage to the past. And Nipsey does that in his music, where he takes certain samples, or especially on this album, he took certain samples, certain classic samples, and he would pay homage to some of the greats. So I thought that was super fucking dope. One of my favorite tracks on the album.
Absolutely, yeah, and the way he got Puff Daddy to work with him too, that's just, you know, like bosses communicating with bosses. Right? Puff Daddy was one of the first hip-hop artists to actually take initiative into owning his own. And just to get that collaboration going for both of them, man, it just sets the tone of what he's supposed to be. Right, just a boss.
A boss, yeah, exactly.
It's that real, recognized real kind of vibe,
Right, and Puff actually executively produced this whole album.
Oh, no
way. If you didn't know. Yeah, he executively produced this whole album. He was in the studio with Nip the whole time.
Damn.
I remember seeing like clips of a Puff Daddy with him, and it's fucked up because the last artist that Puff executively produced passed away too. Biggie.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So it's fucked up. I'm not gonna put that on Diddy. I'm not gonna say it's the Diddy curse because that's fucked up.
No.
You know what I mean? It's just unfortunate. Maybe it's just like it just happens to be that Puff works with some of the greats that just happen to pass away. But
too young.
Yeah. So dedication with Kendrick.
Yeah. Oh man, right out the gate. Like it's just that steady consistency, like track after track, like the Victory Lap track kind of starts you off a bit slower, but then once you get to dedication, it's almost like you're in full stride.
But I feel like you can't start like an album like this like on a high, like on a super high, because then eventually it's just gonna be like you're coming down at some point, right? You gotta start at a medium so you can stay climbing the entire time.
Right, yeah. And this album just like steady climbs up. And then once you get to that dedication track, like man, he's just kind of breaking down the whole ideas behind and like his motivation behind being dedicated and how you have to stay persistent and like how you get your money up and like, you know, staying loyal.
And I feel like this song applies to like anybody doing anything. You know what I mean? Like anything you want to do in life, like dedication, that's it. Like that's the.
You just need that dedication.
You know what I mean? Like anybody can hear this song, even if you don't necessarily like fuck with rap music that hard. You listen to this song, you can take something from it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Hard work plus patience.
That's solid.
Yeah. The sum of what does he say? Hard work plus patience. The sum of all my life. I'm done waiting. I'm done waiting. I told you what I'm playing. And now you hear what I was saying. Dedication. Yeah, that's fire. And I think it's like it's dope that Kendrick and Nip came together on this track. Yeah. Because they actually came up around the same time. Mm-hmm. They were both around in the LA scene around that time. Yeah. And they actually went on, you know, The Game? Yeah. The Game took Kendrick and Nipsey on tour. This was when they were coming up.
Crazy.
And they were both on the same tour together.
Oh, okay.
So they knew about each other for a while. They just never, I don't think they ever collabed on a track before that. So it was dope to see that relationship happen on an album.
Yeah, like in full public view, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Around this time too, like what was it? Yeah, Black Panther like had just released around that time as well. So it was like everybody was closely watching Kendrick Lamar because he had done the music for Black Panther. And then for him to reappear on Nipsey's Victory Lap. It was actually one of the more popular songs.
Stays busy, man.
Yeah, man.
He stays busy.
It's crazy.
They both stay busy.
Yeah, man. And like Nipsey, I guess you could say he recognized that Kendrick was working hard and fit into the tone and the persona of the album, right? So
Kendrick does really good with like this kind of style of like beat and pace. He does really good with that. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. And then we got into Blue Laces 2, one of the sequels to one of Nip's older songs. Blue Laces, because he did a Blue Laces in one of his mixtapes. Yeah. And he actually used that same sample on his older Blue Laces. So Blue Laces 2, he used the sample, except he just reworked the beat. And I thought this sounds like some Rick Ross shit. Yeah. Yeah, just like riding down in the whip, just like slowly riding around. You know what I mean? Like that. This is that track to fucking just ride in the whip too.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The one thing I really liked about this track was that he kept his image and boosted it through his community. Like he always stayed around. Yeah. Right. The Blue Laces thing. Like he's talking about.
Oh right. Yeah.
He's talking about who he was and
right.
You know,
where he came from.
Where he came from. Like the things that he had to do to get to where he needed to be, and it wasn't always pretty. Right. But he still stayed down. Like he still stayed in his community. He still stayed around and used what he had, everything that he came up with, to make his community better.
Yeah. Right.
So that's the big message that I got from that track. That really stuck out for me. Blue Laces number 2.
And the storytelling on this album is, I think it was elevated because Nip usually he didn't really tell stories before. Yeah. But on this track and even the track Young with Puff Daddy, I remember both tracks they actually told a story on their second verses or their last verses. And Nip usually wouldn't tell stories. So when I hear him like tell stories about him getting in a shootout or him burying like a couple $100,000 in the lawn, and then the money goes, it's molded, so they lose like a couple $100,000 molded money, and then they're like with a blow dryer trying to salvage this shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like just stories like that he wouldn't tell before. when he would tell it on this album, I was like, yo, this is fucking dope. You know what I mean? And then you hear him in the interviews, he would talk about it too.
Yeah. It's dope.
Hustle and Motivate.
My favorite song.
Hustle and Motivate.
Yeah. It's the keys in the background and everything like that. And
yeah.
It's that synth, man. It's like on a production level, I'm blown away by that song every single time. I think I listened to it 3 or 4 times before I came here, and like it's just that pump, grit, get you shit and get out the fucking door music.
Yeah,
it's what you need, like in the morning. Like as soon as you're eating your breakfast, you got to be hearing that track like all day. And like he's talking about all the trials and tribulations he's been through, and it never held him down. It never held him back. He didn't focus on the what ifs ever. All right, and he just stayed hustling. And
if you notice, the sample is also from Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life.
Yeah,
he used that same sample. So it was like, exactly, that's Nip using those classic samples. I was like, word, this is fucking dope.
I was really impressed by the production value of the whole album in general. Like it's way better than anything he's put out before. Like the production value is ridiculously good.
Yeah.
Word. And then Status Symbol 3.
Status Symbol 3. Oh, I have a quote for this one, actually. It's the end of the third verse, and it's like, appreciate the progress but conflicted by the status. Right? He's just like,
that's deep as fuck.
Yeah. Right? It's how he ended the last verse. And he's just so glad like he can be able to live in his community and flourish. But at the same time, he still feels that little tiny piece of regret. And it's like one of those things that just makes the artist like human again. Because there's often we see these people as like these titans and gods that can't be touched or any means. But and sometimes we just forget that they're all just human. And he just brings that emotion, that transparency in it. And I was like blown away. I had to write down that lyric as soon as possible.
It's a bit of like survivor's remorse.
Yeah. But as well as like that regret, he doesn't regret that he could have been derailed, right? He doesn't regret being around his environment. He doesn't regret being around gangsters and thugs. He could have been derailed once before in his life. He could have, fallen off and stopped rapping. We wouldn't even be talking about him right now. But he still stayed persistent.
Word.
He stayed persistent and kept on doing what he believed in. Right, and so he's just appreciative of the status, but conflicted by the appreciative of the progress, conflicted by the status.
There you go. That's hard.
Yeah, man.
And then Keys to the City. This is one of my favorite tracks. There's a beat change up in the middle of the track that I thought was a little bit awkward, but other than that, like that first half of that track, I think is fucking dope.
Yeah.
And the reason why he gets I think Teeflii on the feature, and he opens up blowing up some good, but enough to be get faded. You know how we do it. And he opens up really melodic, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then Nip comes in, he's like, talk to that bitch in Swahili. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, that's hard, you know what I mean? Like that shit is hard. So Keys to the City is one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, man. It's like the mood that track sets is that he almost forgot what he was doing. You know, he almost forgot.
No, hold up. That
one's after.
That's Status Symbol 3.
That's Status Symbol 3?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I missed. You're right. You know, that's a trip because I actually missed the track. Sucker Proof.
Yeah.
That's a trip. No, that's on Status Symbol 3 where it's like almost forgot what I was doing. Almost forgot what I was going. Yeah. No, sorry, I skipped Sucker Proof. I don't know if you want to touch on Sucker Proof.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But I think I had a mix up too in my notes, so it's all good. But track 10, Keys to the City, like it has one line. It's like never had a shot, but I never had a fear. Right? Like I said, he never focused in the what ifs. He always took risks in what he was doing. Right? And like that's something that everybody should be living by. Like if you want to go, if you want to make a change, you got to go out and get it
and take risks.
And he recognized that he had all the odds stacked against him. That he had nothing. That he came from nothing. And a lot of people were telling him that he is nothing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he never focused on that. He never really gave a shit about what the negative connotations were in his life. He rather just kept on going. He had the keys to the city, And it was because he had nothing. He still had respect. He still had friends. He still had people that would drive him around wherever he needed to. Right? And that's literally like the overall tone of the song. Like that's his key to the city is his loyalty. Right? And then he was treated well throughout the community. So that was a hard one for me too.
Word. And then Grinding All My Life. Not one of my favorite tracks. And the reason why is just because it sounds very reminiscent to Nip's like mixtape. This is like mixtape Nip. I like the sentiment of the track. You know, I've been grinding all my life. You know, roll the dice. You got to pay the price. I appreciate that. It just sonically it sounds a little bit too mixtape for me.
Okay.
And this album, like, it just sounds so refined for me. That's like, then I'm like, yo, this is. It just sounds out of place. You know what I mean?
A little bit out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me it kind of stands out only because I can picture him crip walking on it. You know what I mean? Like,
I can see that too.
That high tempo, like, and that bounce he's got to it. Like, it's got a second fella. You could totally crip walk on that shit. And, like,
that's hard.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's the way I see it. And I love the way how he paid homage to Hit Boy in HS87 because they had a single called Grinding All My Life.
Oh, really? I never caught that.
Oh, it's dope. Hard track. You should check it out. But yeah, at first I didn't really like it because as soon as I read the name, I was just like, oh, that's just Hit Boy's song. But then I listened to it and I was like, okay, this is kind of a tight dance track. You know?
Word. And then Million While You Young. This is again that Rick Ross influence that I hear on Nipsey's songs. I'm like, again, that car music. This is it. And the message again, to make a million while you're young, right? Like that. How many people can say that? Right, Nip. I don't know how old he was when he made $1 million. Look, he talks a lot about making $1 million on this album, so I'm guessing it was probably around like recently, maybe in his 30s. But for someone to make like $1 million in their 30s,
man, that's impressive.
That's fucking
impressive,
dope.
dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like that motivation to be like, yo, if Nip can do it, I can do it too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Loaded Bases with CeeLo Green.
Yeah, I didn't really like this song, to be honest. Like, I don't really fuck with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dog, this song is hard. It's like on some soul shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't look for it. I didn't look for soul when I was listening to Nipsey, to be honest.
It's really out of place for like Nip. I feel you on that, but the thing is, like CeeLo Green. I'm a fan of CeeLo Green. So anytime I hear CeeLo Green, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fucking dope. You know what I mean? And I thought like for like a nice, it feels like almost like a closer. This and the next track,
real big.
Yeah, real big. They feel like a closer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's weird because then there's 2 tracks after that, and I'm just like, it sounds all out of place. It feels like it should
have been bumped down a little bit more.
Yeah, it felt like it should have ended at real big. But yeah, like Loaded Bass is some soul shit. I thought this shit was dope.
I might have to go back and listen to that one again.
Yeah, and shouts out to Dirty Needles on CJSW because they were playing. They were doing a tribute to Nip, and I remember the first track that I turned on and they were playing was this track.
Motivation.
Yeah, so shouts out.
Yeah, shout out to this.
Real big with Marsha Ambrosius. I know we were kind of talking.
Yeah, about it. I wrote a whole bunch of notes for this one. It's the first song I heard off of the project, and it just touched my soul. I cannot believe what the things he were saying because it was just so related to my life. Like running from the Lord till they foreclose. Like, man, I remember being just so down out in my luck with my family that like sometimes we didn't know where the rent was coming from. Right, like we were just sitting like struggling, man, and we couldn't do anything else but to just keep on going. And like that's something that's real to me, right? Like I never hung around gangsters. I never seen a shell case on the street or anything.
Yeah.
But like one of the things though is like high school didn't go, and I remember being a fuck up in high school too. But then like hearing this album, you think like just because you're a high school fuck up doesn't mean you can't be something else.
That's not the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You gotta take ownership of that.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it was just so hard hitting, and like even the chorus and everything was just so good. And the singer at the end of it too. What was her name?
Marsha Ambrosius.
Yeah, she really I think she completed the song in a way. With the way she could carry a medley, like wishing you could live in this moment forever. Because when I hear this song, like to me, I can close my eyes and listen to it, and I see Nipsey Hussle in the coupe on the front of the album, right? And he's just pointing it up,
like real big.
Yeah. I know one day he's just gonna feel this. You know what I'm saying? Like, wish you could live in that moment forever. There's nothing like riding around top down, just sailing, like soaring through the night, and you just not a care in the world.
Yeah.
You know, tank is on full. You know, all your bills are paid.
All is good.
Everything's good.
No stress.
No
stress.
Facts. And then Double Up. One of my favorite tracks on the album.
Yeah.
This shit is that vibe.
Yeah.
It's like that nighttime or early morning riding around, just going and getting on your hustle. You know what I mean? That's what this track reminds me. And he got Belly and Dom Kennedy. Obviously, you're a fan of Dom Kennedy.
I love Dom Kennedy.
You're a fan of Dom Kennedy.
Kennedy's dope.
Yeah.
I'm sleep. I haven't been that deep into Dom Kennedy's music.
You gotta listen to the Yellow album first, and then Get Home Safely.
Get Home Safely. I've heard like a couple tracks of Get Home Safely.
You gotta hear those two at least like a million times.
I'm a fan of Belly though. He got Belly. Shouts out to Belly from Canada. Super fucking dope. He only did like a little refrain, which was like, okay, it was cool.
Oh man.
But I thought it was cool to get Belly on there. I was like, word, that's dope. And then the video is exactly what I imagined this song to sound like. He's on some real estate shit. He's buying property. You can see them out in like right by the ocean or whatever. It's super dope.
Yeah, I love how they captured it too, because like it's not a warm looking video. It's a very like cool and cold looking video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just very clean. Like it kind of shows in the filmography like what it took to get to all these places, to where they are, where their status is, and it's not an easy thing. Sometimes you feel like you can't go through with certain deals because you're afraid your homie's gonna get like caught up in it and you're gonna do him wrong or something like that, and then you just got to keep on going, and then you reap your rewards. And you know, you got all these women around you and this nice real estate.
All right, yeah, exactly,
But at the same time, it's almost like they're still posted up on the block. Like they still have that grit, and they're gonna keep on going to double up. And like that Belly refrain, like I'm going through like a pretty hard time right now, and like I was listening to some music just to mellow out. But last night, man, I heard that refrain and like I just started crying, man. Like,
for real?
I was just bawling my eyes out. Like usually music doesn't touch my soul like that. But, like I was just like in tears, dude.
Nah, man, but that's the power of music, man.
Yeah, man.
It's the power of music.
Leave it behind if you let me. You can like give it my all just to hold you
down.
Yeah. Man, it just had me, man. I just started bawling my eyes out. I was on the bus. I was on the bus.
Someone's gonna be like, "What? Are you good, bro?"
Like the 14-year-old kid right beside me is like, "Look at this guy crying."
No, dog.
No, man, I had my hood up and everything. I was just like, "Oh my god."
Hey, I've had moments like that too with music, man. It's like,
oh yeah, hell
know,
yeah,
man.
for real.
It's like when you listen to that, it's like perfect time, perfect mindset, everything. It's just like, yeah, man, that's the power of music, though.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Word.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope that touched you like that.
Yeah, man. It was just the way that it was captured and the way I was feeling. It was just kind of like a crazy pot of emotions, and it just ran over. Like I just couldn't help myself. Like in that moment, I was so took by it.
This is shit that I listen to when I'm trying to like visualize success. I try and like I always like find songs that like what does success sound like, and I put this song on and I just visualize that shit. Then I wake up in the morning, drive my sister to work, whatever. I remember doing that, and I'm like early, like 5 a.m. and I'm like, this is the mood for that shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like go to bed thinking about that shit, wake up in the morning, get into it.
Yeah.
So, and then the last track, Right Hand to God.
Yeah, man, it's that finish line
I
music.
put my right hand to God.
Yeah, never tell on anybody, dog. That's the kind of feeling I got from that. Like it just stayed loyal. Stay
down. Yeah.
Start to finish. This is it, right? Like it's just done playing with these rap. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, for real.
That's what it is, man. And like I'm always so caught up in like the lyrics that I heard before when I get to the last track, so I don't really have a lot of thoughts to say about this one.
Nah, you know what this track is? I thought it was like a very big closer. Like the instrumental's very big, like the horns in the back, the trumpets in the back, right? So I thought it was like a big closer. It was interesting. I thought it would end on real big. That's what it sounded like it would end on. But the right hand of God, it was nice to see the maturity. Like Nip put a little bit of like a spiritual side into it, right? That's kind of the way I took it. Was like, you know, he's even though he's like really like out the mud with this shit, he stays down and he puts his maturity into it. Like, man, I'm also a man of God. So I kind of took it as that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, honestly, so that's all the tracks. Anything overall that you guys want to touch on as far as the album? Or just Nip in general? Just, yeah, because I wanted... The reason why I'm putting this out... Sorry, dog.
No, it's all good.
The reason I'm putting this out is just to honor Nip, obviously, in passing. I wasn't able to get this album review out. I didn't say I had it started, but I was, like, doing other shit around that time. So I wanted to put this out just to help honor Nip, not help, but like honor Nip, because I felt like in my power, like what can I do to like honor this man who really touched me so much, and this is the best way. Like this is my outlet, so I figured get some homies on here and fucking collab and talk about Nip. So anyway, you guys like overall thoughts?
It's like, you know, like I feel like rappers or like artists nowadays get like a bad rep, you know, for like not being like the most educated, the most like lyrical, like you know, they don't really know how to express their thoughts. But like a guy like Nipsey Hussle, man, it's so sad that he's gone, because like he's the kind of guy that just only gets better with time.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts,
so it's like
that's
like the sad part about it, right? It's like, you know, but you know, really smart guy, man. He was good for the game, like quality.
Absolutely.
Quality. That's all it is.
Absolutely, man.
Like he deserved all his success, man.
Word.
Like, you know, he earned everything. So.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of West Coast music in general.
Yeah.
And he just added to that repertoire of like well-respected West Coast artists that I always listen to. Like, I'd put him definitely up there with Tupac, Warren G,
Word,
and Nate Dogg. You know, Mac Dre. Like, who else? I listen to a lot of like Warren Brew and stuff like that, and like it just captures my whole like outlook on what I think music should sound like. And he really, you know, reinforced the genuine and the information that is relayed from that area and then put into music.
Yeah.
Right? Because some people think that like, oh, if you live in LA, you must be like a movie star or some rich person.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like not everybody's like that.
No, man. Like you gotta take a look into the lives of the people who aren't getting their story told.
Yeah.
And some of these artists like Nipsey Hussle, like Warren G, you know, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, there's some of these stories they're telling are from the people that they know, and they don't get a chance to speak out in front of people. They don't get a chance to, you know, travel all over the globe and do all these things, but they're letting their voices be heard.
And speaking for the community.
And that's what I really respect about this kind of music. And it's not just in the West Coast. It's all over the world. Like you gotta kind of sing the unsung songs.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
because most of the time those are like the most interesting stories, man. Those are the most real stories.
Yeah. And I just gotta give props to Nip for that.
100%.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah. You know what I'm gonna say? It's probably just like huge influence. I'd say a pretty big influence as far as just like me learning like financial literacy in music and just really taking control of my destiny. And that was somebody that really influenced me in that kind of aspect. And then like just to give back to his community as well. You know what I mean? Like to go in the middle of his hood and put a store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And employ people that are from his community. That was huge. And to, like you said, tell those stories of people in that community. Huge. So I just close it up. Appreciate you guys watching. Still on sound.
Hey, Jhonson
Nasty G.
Hey.
Peace.
We're out, y'all. Peace.